Hey everyone out there in YouTube land, Dan here from Geekcast Radio doing another comic book review. This time I will be discussing Catwoman #1, the book that is in the shadows of that of Batman 50 in more ways than one, as it says right on the cover. You have to read this, Batman 50, before you read this, because this is going to spoil that for you. And going into that, I was a little concerned thinking, okay, Catwoman's getting her own book, but is it just really going to be Catwoman's reaction to Batman, or Catwoman in the life of Batman and Bruce Wayne? And that's really not the case. Yes, it deals and has pieces of what happened in Batman 50, but Joelle Jones is allowed to kind of do her own thing. And that's really just a side piece of it. First and foremost, I was super excited about this because of Joelle Jones. I adore her art. Lady Killer to me is one of the best series that she's done in best series period. We actually talked about it on the Comic Concierge podcast, and I'll put a link below. I talked with Jason Michael of the Atlantic Screen Connection podcast, and it was a great discussion about that series. And a lot of kind of what made that series quite impressive is again shown here, starting with the colorist Laura Allred, who worked with her on Lady Killer, is working with her here, and a lot of the tricks that they used in that book they're using here. And one that I enjoyed was the kind of the messiness of the inking, or I should say of the coloring. So you can kind of see it here, but there are these black splashes of ink throughout each page, and it just makes everything it's almost look like it's accidental, but it does provide a really cool emphasis. It highlights just the stark contrast of the coloring. It's very thick and very, even, Joelle Jones used a really distinct line in her work. And in that series too, it was a very violent series. It's about this assassin who would kill, and a lot of slicing and dicing. But they would show blood utilizing, it wouldn't be red, it would be black, almost like classic movies back in the day when they're black and white. So the blood would be black to better show on the screen. This obviously being a DC book, there's not a lot of blood here, but when there was, it seemed to be utilizing the same trick. And the aesthetic that Joelle Jones has with her art, looking at this page right here, it's very 60s-esque in a way. And whoever decided to put her on Catwoman, I don't know if it's the character that she lobbied for, it was a very smart idea, because her look works really well with the character of Catwoman. I know nothing about fashion, but Joelle Jones, she's the one who designed the Catwoman wedding dress. Her characters feel like, the Catwoman in this, Lena Kyle in this, similar to the main character and Lady Killer. They feel almost reminiscent of something like Jackie O. Kennedy. Similar look, style. Lena Kyle obviously being a character that utilizes her appearance for many different ways, from her being Catwoman to her being Selena, as part of her ruse, gives a lot for Joelle Jones to play with. And also liked how within this there's I believe it's a new villain revealed. And when you have a character like Catwoman, who's known to be a rather sexy character, and a lot of women in comics tend to be, taking a character and creating one that is the polar opposite of that in every way, kind of being as grotesque as you could be. It was a great reveal, because you're seeing this woman look a certain way, and then that changes throughout rather drastically. It was great paneling in that issue, and in that on that page. And I don't want to spoil it here, but if you're a person who did like Lady Killer, or if you're a person who likes this, go get Lady Killer. But it has the same type of feel to me as that. Joelle Jones has been kind of a promising talent for some time. She's done some work with Batman. I'm excited that she's getting her own book and writing and drawing this, which is so uncommon in the big two. You rarely see that. It happens often with indie books, but in DC and Marvel, rarely do you get the same artist from arc to arc, let alone the same creator doing everything. So I don't know. I know this is planned on being a monthly series, so if that will change eventually, I hope not. Or if this will end up being like a 12-issue maxi series, I don't know what the end up goal is. But I also like that, even though this is dealing with the ramifications of Batman 50, that didn't dominate the story overall. It was a piece of it. It certainly is impacting the emotional state of Selena, but it's not the thing that is going to be the driving force of this first arc. I will say, if you want to open up on a strong page, I'm going to spoil that. It's this, because I opened this up and I'm like, Okay. Well, I know Catwoman has always been one of those characters that has been on both sides of the law. She's done some shady things, but like her holding a gun, killing someone, that seems like a line she wouldn't go through. And I think it's obviously purposeful. And I'm not going to spoil it, but the arc is called Copycat, so you can put two and two together. But it's a good way of just knowing what happened in Batman 50, knowing where she might be. It's like, wow, is this driving her to do things that she would normally not do? It's a good way to open up and provide mystery for within one page. The only thing that didn't work for me as well is that throughout the book, we get a number of these intercut news broadcasts, and it's an okay way to provide a lot of exposition into different things that are going on. It's a part of us learning about who this new villain will be, but it got a little tedious, and almost, I know at first it's meant to be confusing because you're supposed to think one thing when it's another, but it made it a little bit difficult to begin with. Eventually it went through, and I thought it got a little redundant, but that was really the only nitpick I had, was that use of utilizing the news broadcast here and there. Overall, though, I think it's got me excited for what's going next. There's not like a huge amount of story in this. It's just basically letting us know, okay, this is where Catwoman is. This is the threat she'll be facing, and she kind of takes it on full force. She clearly is still trying to find herself in more ways than one. She's still trying to kind of decide what her next move is, and then something kind of falls in her lap, and it seems like, okay, well, this is going to get my attention because it's going to distract me from the other things I don't want to think about. So if you're a person who's picking this up and you read Batman 50 and you want to know more answers, you want to know what exactly happened, that you're going to be dissatisfied because it doesn't necessarily get into that. So just be forewarned. If you want to read a good book by a good creative team, and from Joelle Jones' art, storytelling to Laura Allred's coloring, you got it here. So strong first issue. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I would highly recommend picking it up. But if you've read this, I would like to know your overall thoughts and opinions. Or is there people out there that maybe hated Batman 50, but Catwoman #1 has them intrigued? Did you read this without an overall opinions? Have you enjoyed Lady Killer? What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel it's kind of too repetitive of that series? Maybe. I don't know. I personally don't. I don't have an issue with it. But I will hopefully be talking more about this as issues come out. But for now, if you want to hear more from me, check out Geekcast Radio. Check out my podcast, Comics Concierge. That's it, though. So just remember, comics are for everyone. The key is finding the right one. Until next time, thanks for watching.